Hello, my name is Stijn and welcome to Conjointly's Guide to Inflation, where we will take you through all the important steps when it comes to inflation. This video is based on our 4-part guide to inflation, available now on our website. In this video today, we'll have a look at what is inflation and how has the COVID-19 pandemic influenced inflation rates. We'll look at how inflation affects both businesses and research, as well as which tactics businesses can use to help adapt to times of high inflation, as well as which market research types are extremely helpful during these times. First off, what is inflation? Inflation is often described as a rise in overall price. It is an estimate of the rate at which the purchasing power decreases as prices increase. In economics, this is often described as a decline in purchasing power with a simultaneous increase of the average price level of a basket of selected goods and/or services. Inflation is the result of both supply side and demand side issues. The effect of inflation is often debated. However, generally speaking, a moderate inflation benefits the overall economy. Typically, the long-run target for annual inflation is around 2%. So how has the COVID-19 pandemic influenced inflation rates? Well, since the start of the pandemic, there's been a strong fluctuation in the overall inflation rate, with a clear rise in 2021 in almost all major economies. This mainly stems from disruptions in supply chains, as well as the combination of stimulus packages and reduction of interest rates. In the US, UK, and the Eurozone, annual inflation rates have increased to around 4 to 6%, matching decade-old highs. So how does inflation affect businesses? During times with high inflation rates, business is influenced in two major ways. First of all, prices increase due to higher overhead costs for raw materials, manufacturing, and shipping. These additional costs could be directly transferred to the consumer, but in reality, businesses absorb part, if not the majority, of the increased cost as to avoid losing customers. Secondly, as inflation rates rise, consumers' purchasing power decreases. Simply stated, consumers can buy fewer goods and services than they used to. This means that businesses will record lower sales, reducing the total revenue of the business. Inflation does impact all businesses differently. The effects of inflation are, for example, less pronounced for essential goods, such as groceries, compared to non-essential goods, such as TV. So how do higher inflation rates influence market research? During times with high inflation rates, market research plays an even more crucial role to keep businesses competitive. Previous research has shown that consumer buying behavior is significantly different from normal market conditions when responding to financial crises in times of high inflation. Therefore, historical data and previous research become less relevant. There is also a greater need for tailoring your offers and messages, as high inflation impacts each segment of your consumer base in a different way. Consumers also become more price sensitive, so they have a more value-focused mindset. This makes setting the correct price for your product or MPD of vital importance. There are 4 ways that businesses can take action and even capture opportunities during times of high inflation. Businesses can evaluate their product mix by examining profitability by each SKU or service and change where needed. For instance, apparel manufacturers focused on selling face masks during the COVID-19 pandemic, while IT retailers put thermometers and sanitizers on shelves. Innovation allows businesses to launch premium offerings that deliver greater value to consumers, thereby avoiding the negativity associated with simple price increases on existing products. In addition, previous research has shown that consumers are more willing to accept temporary surcharges than permanent price hikes. They're also more willing to accept price increases when they are informed about the rationale behind the price change. However, remember, not every consumer is the same. A single message may not be enough to appease all. Finally, you can focus on establishing a positive brand image, as brand power has been shown to reduce the negative impact of increasing prices. The following section will cover various types of market research and methodologies that can help businesses during times of high inflation. Firstly, businesses can discover current consumer sentiments towards their products and brands and how this changes over time. The current economic situation is changing rapidly, and this can lead to high volatility in consumer sentiment. Preferences and spending behavior among consumers is extremely volatile and constantly changes. Therefore, having an up-to-date understanding allows businesses to make the best decision at the right time. A great way to do this is by joining the monthly Omnibus survey to have a clear measure of how consumer sentiments and attitudes change over time. It can even be adjusted to fit your personal needs by adding custom elements such as Likert scales, monadics, multiple choice, or open-ended questions. Businesses are also recommended to re-examine acceptable price ranges and willingness to pay during times of high inflation, as previous data may become obsolete for predicting buying behavior and responses to price increases. Established pricing research methodologies like Van Westendorp's price sensitivity meter and Gebro-Granger are ideal for these situations. Van Westendorp's price sensitivity meter enables market researchers to identify the acceptable price range and willingness to pay to ensure that prices fit to each of the targeted consumer segments. In addition, Gebro-Granger allows businesses to simulate price elasticity of demand, which shows consumers' willingness to pay for their product at different price points. The steeper the demand curve, the more price-sensitive consumers are in relation to your product. This can help to find revenue-optimizing price points. You can also refresh your understanding of what brands, attributes, and claims matter most. Strong branding has been shown to enhance both business performance and competitive advantages, as well as reducing consumer resistance to price increases. Claims tests and claims combination tests gather data on consumer usage, purchasing behavior, and perception of specific products and brands to help businesses figure out which brands, attributes, and claims matter most. This knowledge gives direct insight for future decisions, for example, to re-emphasize specific product benefits to price-sensitive consumers. Finally, advertisement plays a pivotal role in the current digital climate and can greatly influence consumers' perceptions and attitudes towards specific products and services. In times of high inflation, it is important that every penny is used wisely to optimize advertising effectiveness. It is therefore imperative to test your ads before airing to find out their effectiveness, retention rates, and consumer attitudes in order to build a stronger brand image. In short, inflation rates have continued to rise in 2021 in most major economies, which impacts businesses both directly, via price increases, and indirectly via decreased consumer purchasing power. This means that historical and previous research data become less reliable. Luckily, there are various actions businesses can take to strive and thrive during periods of high inflation, making this the ideal time to spend your money wisely. For example, you can try to discover your consumer sentiments, remeasure acceptable price ranges and willingness to pay, refresh your understanding of the attribute that matters most, and test the effectiveness of your advertisement. Thank you for watching Conjointly's Guide to Inflation. Conjointly is here to help with any questions and requests you may have, and please feel free to book a call with our team.